Due to technical difficulties beyond my control, I get a second chance at the homily because there were some problems with the audio. Thank you for all those that made us aware of that issue. Life is full of surprises, and I guess that was one of them. The two disciples who set out on the 7-mile walk to Emmaus never imagined what was going to happen. Not in their wildest dreams did they think that they were going to meet the person whom they thought was dead and buried. Walking with someone is a great way to communicate, and those two disciples were grieving. All their hopes had been shattered. Jesus was their hero, the healer, the one who was going to redeem Israel, and with the death of Jesus, all their dreams were wiped away. So much happened in a short span of time. They were left with unanswered questions, upsetting emotions that caused them to lash out at the stranger who joined them on the walk. And when we're hurting, we usually lash out at the closest person, most likely a member of our family. During this time of uncertainty, because so many of us have had to stay home, perhaps left without a paycheck, not knowing when life will return to normal, we too are left with upsetting emotions, a sense of loss, fear of getting sick, anger at not being able to live our routine. Death is part of reality too. Death has visited some families because of the virus and other causes. And those families cannot bring their loved one to church at this time. A graveside service is all we can offer. Meanwhile, some folks who were infected with the virus have recovered. Babies have been born. First responders, doctors, and nurses continue to minister to the sick. And the majority of people have complied with the restrictions. Curfews, masks, staying home is working. All has happened at a cost. And every day that passes hurts families, it hurts government, hurts the world. Yet what price can we place upon a human life? Who can we say is expendable? Indeed, there are countless emotions that sneak up on us when we least expect. Perhaps the reality that we're not in control has never been more prevalent. Death, grief, a sense of loss leave us with feeling helpless. And those disciples, no doubt, on the road to Emmaus, felt helpless. And they did not know how they were going to cope. They needed to piece their life back together. They didn't have a clue of where to start. And notice that the first thing that Jesus did for them was to let them talk. He showed them that he was interested in hearing their pain by listening to them. And so many of us have forgotten how to listen. We cannot listen if we are paying attention to the cell phone or another device. Distractions often get in the way of relationships. Our challenge is to listen beyond the words we hear. What is the person really trying to say? Do we dare to listen to the pain? Jesus listened to the disciples, and he explained that pain is part of freedom, the road to freedom, and that his pain was necessary for our salvation. By the time that the disciples and Jesus reached the village, it was already evening, and Jesus gave the impression that he was going on further. Hospitality was instilled in the culture, very important. And although the disciples probably wanted to be alone in their grief, they felt obligated to invite Jesus to stay with them, which was the best decision they made. In the breaking of bread, their eyes were open and they recognized the Lord. And the same is true in our life. We always come back to the center of our faith, the Eucharist. When was the last time that we were able to receive Holy Communion? Would we have celebrated that Holy Mass differently, knowing that it was going to be the last time before the doors were closed? The Eucharist is central to who we are as Catholics. And at the moment, we cannot offer the Blessed Sacrament. We can only suggest spiritual communion. Yet the desire is the same. Like the disciples, we want to invite Jesus to stay with us. He's already knocking. All we have to do is open the door. And perhaps now our appreciation of Holy Mass will be deepened. And just like the disciples, we will never be the same, because we have walked the journey. We have grieved. We have felt the pain of loss. But in the breaking of the bread, everything makes sense. Jesus continues to share himself with us completely. In spite of our slowness, our unworthiness, our sins, the Lord does not give up on us. And the journey continues. We're never alone. Jesus walks with us every step of the way.